You're watching India Today Global. This is the big story. We are tracking a huge development, massive worldwide Microsoft outage. We're looking at flights, markets, stock exchange, all down. And it all began with news reports coming in of Sky News being down for quite a few hours. We're given to understand that it has, they've managed to set right the Microsoft services for them. But what really happened, Shashank? What's this big story?
Absolutely. So the big issue here is that there are problems with Microsoft 365. Microsoft 365, as you know, is just the complete suite of capabilities that Microsoft offers to various companies. Particularly, the problem seems to be with Azure, which is the cloud computing platform that Microsoft has. As you may know, just to simplify again, cloud computing basically refers to, for example, if you're a company, rather than physically owning your own data storage and your own data capabilities in a physical server that you own, you instead go to a company like Amazon or a company like Microsoft, and you pay them to provide you with data facilities, computing capabilities, data, so on and so forth, so you can run your everyday business. Now, what the problem is that Azure, Microsoft Azure, which is one of the largest cloud computing platforms in the world, has faced an issue. It's an issue related to do with an update that came from a company called CrowdStrike. CrowdStrike is a cybersecurity firm. It made an update. That update has caused these problems with Azure, and because of that, companies and institutions around the world that use Microsoft have essentially found it extremely hard to get back online. They're facing trouble. So, we've got just this massive list. Geeta ma'am can perhaps walk you through of people who've been affected by this.
We will talk about that. But firstly, we know that this is a huge technical issue. Blue screen of death is what they're calling it, because all their Microsoft, everyone who tried to open their Microsoft this morning had this blue screen saying that there is a problem in the server. Which just means that right now we're not calling it anything else.
Absolutely.
Authorities have not said, or countries, because there are many countries and we'll list them out, have not called it any other cyber attack or involvement of any dark deep web here. It has to do with some technical error. But one of the sectors that has majorly been impacted, that's the airline sector.
Absolutely.
Singapore Changi Airport, one of the busiest airports in the world, says check-in process is being managed now manually. CrowdStrike, in a statement, said that it is aware of these crashes of the window systems. Spanish airports impacted with the outage as well. Indigo staff issues have handwritten boarding passes. And now government over here in India has taken cognizance of the Microsoft outage. We are being told that the DGCA sources, that's the Director General of Civil Aviation, sources from DGCA are saying that no decision on grounding airlines as of now. That's a major decision, given that there is a lot of disruption when it comes to traffic, technicalities, services, all of that being disrupted over here as of now in various airports, including India. But in India, DGA sources saying that no decision on grounding airlines just yet. 18 major US airlines have been grounded, citing communication issues, while other carriers, media companies, banks and telecom firms around the world also reported systems of outages and disrupting their operations. Shashank, and it continues.
No, absolutely. And it's just, you've got visuals coming in of people in Goa airport just finding it extremely difficult. They're stuck in lines because, again, airports also will be assumingly using Microsoft Azure, so they're unable to use their software services, so they can't print you your boarding pass. So there are pictures of people walking around with handmade boarding passes for the first time ever, and which is something that not a lot of people are used to seeing. Certainly not that I've ever seen. So absolutely, you're right. Aviation across the world. I mean, I'm just seeing the feed here. There's Prague airport. There is Berlin airport. Really, every major international airport. Brisbane airport as well. Absolutely hit by this. The Delhi airport has also come out and said that our services are also badly affected. So aviation is a major sector that has been affected by this. But banking as well has been hit. The London Stock Exchange, one of the most important stock exchanges in the world, also hit by this. Television news, of course, has been flooded with problems. Where Sky News, of course, was the one that began. But
yes,
of course,
they're saying that there was a huge Sky News logo that was out there outside offices where there are big screens and you have the news play out, roll out. No news was being relayed for quite a few hours this morning, and it is being said that they finally have managed to get it back on track. But not the others. Look at India itself. Now, government, while has taken cognizance of this outage, and they are looking at, and senior officials are now in touch with Microsoft to resolve the outage. But this seems like this is going to happen, this is going to lead up to a massive impact and a domino effect, so to say, when it comes to airline services.
Right,
because
absolutely.
once you have everything from automatic to manual, you are going to face a lot of delays.
Absolutely. And I think that it's a very time-sensitive business. You have schedules that you need to pay attention to. You have people who need to get on flights. You're going to have massive inconvenience. So media absolutely are going to have problems with airlines, with missed schedules and so on and so forth. That's one big issue. Banks, of course, financial services being affected, that is a concern. Lots of conversations about healthcare being a sector that could be badly affected by this. Difficulty accessing patients' medical records, for example, could be something that is a major concern. So absolutely, Microsoft will have its hands full in sort of working on the situation. Absolutely.
Absolutely. And this is, again, a global impact that we are seeing of Microsoft. But again, Shashank, this is not the first time. We have seen situations of outages in the past as well, where we've seen disruption when it comes to certain areas. But they're in quarters, they're in sectors, they're in countries. Here it is a massive global outage that we're looking at. I can't remember one such incident in the past where we've seen such a major disruption in the airline sector across the world.
No, absolutely. And it shows, in many ways how dependent particular airline companies are on particular providers like Microsoft. These companies have enormous market power. And, for example, we know that cloud computing was really the brainchild in many ways of Satya Nadella, of course, the much-loved Indian-American CEO of Microsoft. Cloud computing was really something that powered Microsoft's comeback in the last decade or so. And it shows how dominant the company is in terms of these services. But, it just goes to show really in many ways how much one company, one software update by a cybersecurity firm on one platform that Microsoft runs has essentially paralyzed the global aviation industry, has also created problems for banking, also created problems for media, also created problems for health. It comes down to that question of, are some companies simply too big to fail? Are we a little too dependent on particular tech companies to get things done?
We'll try getting our team to put up flight radar maps, because flight radar is a platform that actually looks at all the flights that are going in and out of countries. And if you look at flight radar right now, as we're seeing, and we'll ask our team also to put out the map, you can see the disruption, which is not just concentrated in a particular area or sector. It's just vast across the globe from east to west. So that's just the airline sector that is being affected, or that has been affected. But there are service sectors that are also affected, Shashank, apart from airlines. And we are talking about various other sectors that could be impacted, where largely Microsoft is used, whether if they're offices, which certainly are not going to be out there to say, well, this is the entire sector that has been. It's easier for us to gauge how big this entire damage is or the impact is, because airline sectors immediately start, it affects people, so we immediately start putting out news of things that are happening. There are many offices that would be affected. The other area where you actually see impact that is visible is the news industry, and you've actually seen some channels that have been affected, Sky News being one. They were off air for quite a while. And now in India, the fact that we've moved from automated to manual is going to be a huge shift.
Absolutely. But one thing that, just a note of assurance that seems to have come in is that Australia has weighed in on the matter. The National Cybersecurity Coordinator in Australia has come out and sort of said that, look, we're in touch with stakeholders, but this does not seem like it is a cybersecurity concern at this point in time. Of course, we've had lots of concerns over hacks in the past. There have been major hacks like the SolarWinds hacks, so over just the last decade, some things that have targeted critical power grids, water, so on and so forth, things that are absolutely essential for survival. Those have been concerns in the past when it comes to major outages like this. But right now, what we're getting from Australia is that this seems to be not a cybersecurity incident, not a hack, but really seems to be an issue related to a technical issue suffered by the affected companies, which, as we mentioned, are CrowdStrike, which is the cybersecurity platform, and of course, Microsoft as well. But again, just a little while ago, I believe on India Today, of course, we had Minister Rajiv Chandrasekhar just talking about, former Minister Rajiv Chandrasekhar talking about the issue, talking about the credibility of a platform like Microsoft, what needs to happen going forward as well to sort of reassure customers around the world that things will be all right.
Okay, so there is a statement that has come out from Microsoft as well, where Microsoft is saying we're investigating an issue impacting users' ability to access various Microsoft 365 apps and services. More information has been posted, and this is the center where it has been posted. Shashank, can you break this down for us, because this is Microsoft saying that the services that have been impacted may include but are not limited to the following.
And right. So there's Microsoft Teams, absolutely. So if you work in an IT job and you want to escape your work, this is a good time.
You can say systems have crashed.
Right. So Microsoft 365 Admin Center, I think that has a lot to do with the 365 services, Microsoft Purview, Microsoft Fabric, Power BI as well. We're also seeing problems with interesting Microsoft Defender for Endpoint, Defender Exports, OneNote, and yes, of course, and they mentioned, of course, Windows 365 definitely creating problems for cloud PCs. So, of course, they've come out with a very, very
specifically says admins may be unable to manage existing cloud PCs or provision new cloud PCs. And there's also Viva Engage. Users may be unable to access Viva Engage. So the current status, Microsoft says, is we're continuing to progress on our mitigation efforts for the affected Microsoft 365 apps and services. We still expect users to see remediation as we address residual impact. So they've mentioned the current status, but they're also mentioning the scope of impact. This issue may be impacting any user attempting to use various Microsoft 365 apps and services. How many might that be?
Absolutely. I mean, when you think about Microsoft, the kind of market power it has, I mean, what we're already seeing, right? I mean, it's just that, we were sitting here and we began by talking about this. We're like, okay, yeah, sure, there's a slightly manageable list of people who have begun talking about this. And just in the time that we have been speaking, the number of global airports that have come out and said, okay, no, we're having a problem. Australia's talking about telecom companies being hit. We were talking about media and aviation now, of course. Telecom is coming out as a sector that has been hit.
So Shashank had made it simple for you, but let me use the technical jargon over here, which is what Microsoft says. Preliminary root cause, a configuration change in a portion of our Azure backend workloads caused interruption between storage and compute resources, which resulted in a connectivity failure that affected downstream Microsoft 365 services dependent on these connections. So for all those who understand this technical language, it just means that there has been a connectivity failure between the storage and the computer resources, which is why the downstream was affected. And certainly with the downstream, we are seeing the impact. Clearly goes to Shashank how much we now depend on technology.
No, absolutely.
That if one area, one system fails, how much of our life can really be impacted?
No, absolutely. And I think that this has been, I mean, the big fear, I think, when the news came out was, okay, is this another one of the, dozens of major cyber attacks that we have seen over the last decade or so? Absolutely, right? That was actually our first reaction, is it? And then it seems to be just an incident related to the technical matters, but of course not a cyber hack. But, just we were talking about problems like SolarWinds and so on and so forth. Some of these can be quite terrifying, right? Which is that, SolarWinds is really a Russian attack which sort of impacted Fortune 500 companies, the American defense ecosystem with the Pentagon, nuclear labs, and so on and so forth. So, when you're hitting critical national infrastructure, that is something that certainly worries people, has major consequences. In fact, cybersecurity is one of those understudied parts of national security and global the global economy that have increasingly come under strain, because unlike weapons of destruction, that you have national governments that largely control armaments, that control munitions, that control large control nuclear weapons, control large weapons supplies. Countries and governments still have the monopoly and much of the power in those fields. But increasingly, what you see in cybersecurity is that power is much more diffused, much more distributed. You have hacker groups that have held companies and governments to ransom, and there's very little you can do about them. So in fact, that has really become this idea that while conventional power is concentrated in the hands of governments, cyber power has really traveled and diffused all around the world, which makes things much more difficult to govern, much more dangerous. And that's why when something like this happens, you immediately think, okay, oh my God, is it a cyber hack? But it seems in this case, it is not. Just to clarify.
Well, that's a very, very important clarification, because a lot of people were seeking answers, and we're looking at online queries about this Microsoft outage, and a lot of them are questioning, on the comment section, if you see, is this a cyber attack? What's the source? Where did it come from? So to clarify, right now, this is what it looks like. It looks like a technical problem from Microsoft's end. Senior officials, not just in India, I'm sure across the world, governments are in touch with Microsoft to sort this out. But it's not just the media outlet or airport sector, airline sector, which has been impacted. Banking. Banking, Shashank, has been impacted majorly. A lot of banks are facing problems, and this again will impact services even for a day. Would mean we don't know what kind of impact it will have when it comes to the larger picture of banking and finances, but it certainly is going to have a huge impact on the banking and finances. Okay, but there's a lighter note to it as well. We are looking at netizens now coming out and talking about the Microsoft outage. Shashank, they're talking about it is because I think their social media platforms are still functioning.
Yes, that's true.
And that's not impacted.
Right.
So they're coming out and now, making fun of or coming out with these hilarious memes. We can only talk about it. We'll ask our team if they can put some of the memes out, but they've started coming out and trying to be funny about the Microsoft outage itself.
Yes.
Let's try to get a few
most
of them.
Have to do with if you're sitting at work and your system isn't working right now, you have a legitimate excuse not to work. Unfortunately, the moment this news broke, in fact, I looked at my colleagues and I said, but I have Microsoft and my system is still working. Which is quite unfortunate for me, but if yours isn't working, fortunate for you.
Yeah, so there are some who've come out and said, happy weekend, thank you, because it's a Friday and you're getting an early off.
Yes, absolutely.
There's nothing to do. Then there are corporate employees thanking that one person because of whom Microsoft is down. I'm sorry. But this can get hilarious. We should actually get Rudra to put these
together.
Another one saying IT departments in every company right now, and it has one man,
Right.
In
one
blue,
man savior. Yes.
In blue, because the Microsoft death screen is all blue.
Right.
And reads that there's a technical error, so you cannot really use it.
I think you'll enjoy this one. Of everyone else running around, and there's one man, a Linux user, and he's just enjoying himself. Watching the carnage.
Watching the chaos.
Yes, so we'll put it out for you. I think we definitely promise to have some of these memes.
Start putting these memes out
for you. Yeah, absolutely.
Having a lot of fun. Actually, we can ask Sanskar maybe to zoom into our
and this is actually very interesting. What you're also seeing is Woolworths, the supermarket, even their self-service machines are not operating. So, for example, if you're a supermarket,
so can I just go up and just show them yours is a dark screen?
Yes, please.
Some of them are very funny. So if I can just go and show this. Is this visible? Is this visible now, Sanskar?
Yes, I think I can see them. Yeah.
Okay, so this is how it says. Happy weekend, thank you. That's how it goes. And then you have another one where, can you see it, Sanskar? Okay, corporate employees thanking that one person because of whom Microsoft is down. That's how it looks. And then you have another one. That's the blue screen.
Yes.
That's the blue
screen. Oh, yes, the
BSOD. That's the blue screen. Okay, IT departments in every company right now. And then you have Windows blue screen issue, and me being a corporate employee in front of my manager be like, I wanted to finish the task you assigned. Like really?
Yeah.
Like really? Did he really want to do that? And then you have shout out to Microsoft for letting everyone have an early finish on a Friday.
I mean, if anyone wants to hack my system,
welcome to do so. Microsoft users right now. I'm not going to play the video because we don't know what that entails. And we don't want strikes here, right, Shashank?
No, absolutely.
So yeah, we'll keep it clean. The person at CrowdStrike, Microsoft. But Shashank, you had a very interesting one. Okay, I'm sure these are Indians, IT employees going to office on Friday.
Yes.
And I don't know how many of you have seen this movie. It's hilarious. But yeah. Can you see that? Can you?
No, it's a little blurred. This one's a little blurred.
Is it visible at all?
I think this is slightly blurred.
Is it blurred?
Yes, this one unfortunately is.
Okay.
But
it continues. It continues. So meme fest.
Yes.
Right now, it's a meme fest right now.
Yes, I am watching memes but pretending to work. So that's what's going on. That's what's happening behind this screen.
It's not funny, guys. It's a very serious matter, but nonetheless, everybody's having fun because it is a Friday.
Absolutely.
And people are thinking, can they really go home? Not for Shashank, because our systems are working. They're fine.
Oh dear.
So we are not getting any off. None of you over here in the newsroom is
going
home or getting an early weekend. But it certainly is going to be a concern for many others. There is problem at the airlines, with the airlines and at airports. We have visuals of people who are troubled by it. There are concerns when it comes to how they're going to really, manage the backlog now. But systems are coming back. It's not going to be like this forever. Microsoft is working on it, and I think slowly and steadily, those who have fantastic backend tech support, particularly Sky News, are up again.
Right.
But it is going to be something that governments, corporates, everybody have to look at. When you're looking at how technology can impact your life and how gravely your life can be impacted, Shashank.
No, absolutely. I think that this is one of those things that brings it home. We don't think about it in the day-to-day, but pretty much everything you do really does depend on technology. It's what I was talking about earlier, which is that cybersecurity is one of those things that I think for most people is a yawn-inducing topic when we talk about these things. But unfortunately, it like most things that are very important, it deserves a little more attention. I think this sort of brings it home in a way that I think a lot of people will think about, which is that a cybersecurity update causes a glitch that then takes down the aviation industry globally, and suddenly you're holding a manual boarding pass, or you can't check out of a supermarket, or your ATMs don't put out money, and so on and so forth. So really, and this is just we're an hour into this story. So more things could develop, more industries. But right now, telecom, banking, media, aviation, over one update for one major company on one platform, which is Microsoft Azure. So you can imagine what might happen if it's a bigger matter for a different company. So I think that this just brings home how vulnerable and interconnected the system is.
Okay, let's just play a soundbite for you from a news reporter from ABC. Listen into what the ABC reporter has to say.
Go on air here at Radio National, but as you can see, we've got some pretty major problems with our computers. The blue screen of death has taken over not only ABC radio networks, but we understand it's a widespread outage related to CrowdStrike software, Bendigo Bank, the NAB, Microsoft, 365, Suncorp Bank, Foxtel, MYOB. These are some of the names of businesses affected by this outage. Suncorp Bank, as I mentioned, the Commonwealth Bank, NBN as well, Telstra, also Amazon Web Services. We're trying our best to get things back on air here at Radio National today. It's a hive of activity as everyone's trying to scramble to break into the emergency tape, which we're hoping to do early to bring you what we know for RN Drive this afternoon. Stay tuned.
So that's a report on exactly what the technical issues that they're facing in office. But there are many other offices, and we'll be getting reports on all of that. But Shashank, just for fun, I'm sorry, but it's a very serious story, but just for fun, can we go back to the memes just one more time so we know exactly
you should never find me saying no to that.
He was one. I'm asking him, Shashank, this is a big story, let's get on it, and he's like smiling and looking at stuff, and I was like, what are you doing? He was looking at
I'm a journalist.
and he told me, well, I'm just going through all this, the details of what really happened so that we can go on air, and he's preparing himself, and all he was doing was looking at all the memes that were coming on
this is very unfortunately true. I'm glad my boss is open to it.
and keeping his fingers crossed that can there be something where, you know, we could also get an early weekend, which is really not happening. Thank God it's not happening. But let's just go through some of the memes, and I suppose Rudru's just setting that up for us, so that we can just take you through the memes. Okay, so here are the memes. Again, I showed it to you. It was Shashank.
Yes. Happy weekend. Thank you on Friday. Like, yes, this is true.
And running away. This is Shashank actually. This is
Shashank. Me. I was here at 7 a.m. because we had the Trump speech earlier this morning, so we were here early for that America time. So I'm watching the clock, and I'm also watching my screen in case Microsoft decides that my system needs an update.
Okay, the next one is corporate employees thanking that one person because of whom Microsoft
is down. No, I always wonder whether they're able to pinpoint who is responsible specifically, like the one guy who's responsible for making this happen. Yeah. But since it was an update, I don't know if there's one person specifically, but I'm sure Microsoft and CrowdStrike will be having some very serious conversations right now at this point in time.
Okay, and this is IT departments because they've all gone blue, right? Like the Microsoft screen.
No, absolutely.
That's the next meme. This is IT departments in every company right now.
Most neglected, least respected, but when you need them, when things go wrong, they truly are.
Yeah. But what do you call them? What do you call this? The screen of death.
BSOD. Yeah, blue screen of death.
Blue screen of death.
Yes,
so
absolutely.
This is personifying the blue screen of death. We're trying to get that up. Are we getting it, Rudru? The blue screen of death? Okay.
Perhaps an IT outage on our side.
Yeah, as well. Perhaps, yes. We'll try to get that as well. And but these are the memes that we were looking at earlier. I tried to show you, but I was told that the visuals weren't very clear with me walking up to the camera with the iPad.
Yes.
So this is how it looks. And after this, we will continue. The seriousness of the story does not go away. We will continue our coverage on this big story, this big developing story, and come back to you with more details, get some voices in with regards to what this really means, how does this impact, what should the governments think about in the future. Can they do anything at all? Because you're so dependent on technology. Can they really do anything at all? We'll talk about all of that, but for now, I think we'll end this conversation right here. Thank you for watching India Today Global.